So, in the Bon tradition of meditation that I study and practice from Tibet, there's a practice called Chod. That's Chod, Chod, and Chod means to cut. And the practice of Chod contains a series of visualizations and chants that lead to the actual experience of cutting the ego, cutting the discursive thinker, and thereby sort of freeing our perception of the natural state of mind. That is Chod in 20 seconds or less, right? So, in the center of the Chod practice are two feasts, and each feast is an offering and a sacrifice. And it's kind of the heart of the practice of these two feasts. One way of looking at the practice is that the chants that come before the white feast and the red feast are preparatory, and the chants that come afterwards are sort of revelatory or reciprocal. Right? You prepare for the feasts, you perform the visualizations, and then as a result, you receive this insight, wisdom, compassion, and refuge. So we were practicing with our group yesterday, and in the white feast, the visualization involves cutting your head off, dismembering your body, using the bones of your body to create a stand that then the skull rests in, like a cauldron, and then the body is melted in that cauldron into a beautiful nectar that is then offered up to the tutelary deities, the protective deities, the inspiration of the practice. And there were some questions about what that nectar is, and I was thinking, and what came to mind was this really quite extraordinary and lovely image where the nectar is the outcome of our increasingly refined awareness of the sort of the window of mindfulness narrowing down. So I've talked about this before. When we talk about mindfulness and we talk about the perception of change, in the grossest level, it's quite easy to see change. And I'm talking here now like at the level of the seasons. I got in the garden now and there's 4 inches of snow on the ground. 3 months ago it was 80 degrees and there were sunflowers. It's easy to see that change, and it's relatively easy to also participate in that and to feel part of that change. Narrowing it down then to the diurnal cycle, the circadian rhythms of the body. Also, easy to understand that when I wake up in the morning, compared to now, it's now 1 o'clock in the afternoon on a Sunday, I feel different. Now, it's a little bit, so it's easy to understand that obviously I'm in a different state of mind. My body feels different because I'm fed, I've had coffee, I've been out I've walked around, I've been back and forth to church. So I feel different. I'm awake. And in 10 hours I will be asleep. And these are different states that I can easily recognize are different. And with a little bit of attention, I can even stay aware of the fact that I feel different from what I felt like 6 hours ago. I am different, right? The understanding that I am a different person is maybe a bit of a nuance, but narrow it down. It's an achievable experience of the lived self, right, throughout the course of the day. Then let's say that the level under that, more precise, is sitting on a cushion for 20 minutes. And in the course of that 20 minutes, I'm now paying attention to arising and falling thoughts and sensations that happen much more rapidly than that sort of shift over the course of a few hours as my metabolism changes. Now we're getting down to the difference between one breath and the other breath. And that my understanding of my physical self, I recognize that that unit of change is quite small. And I become familiar with the flow of sensation and thoughts, right? That these are not fixed, that my sense of self is not concrete. My sense of self is real. I'm not saying that it is uh, fabricated. What is fabricated is the sense that the self persists beyond this moment. And what I'm saying here is that that moment, as we mature in practice and as I become more stable in sitting, uh, that window of mindfulness becomes smaller and smaller. Joseph Goldstein, in his books and lectures, talks about noting per minute or noticings per minute. Right? Maybe at first I recognize a thought, and then a sensation in the knee, and then maybe an external noise. Maybe it's 3 a minute. And that feels pretty aware, right? The rate of change. But that can narrow down even further until it's a field of sensation. Uh, and at that experiential level, the sense of self uh, has to be meaning something very different, right? Course over course, day over day, year over year, there's an obvious change. But if I'm standing in a Starbucks line, there's clearly a me that's ordering Starbucks. But there's always an awareness that um, this is a this is a moment of perception. And as I practice more, that narrows down. So now within each breath, I recognize that I'm not the same self that I was when the inhale occurred, then the exhale, and now another inhale. And in a very real sense, I'm myself, although there is a moment of the self. Uh, that self is not concrete. It's a process. So this is, uh, I think, a relatively easy intellectual idea to grasp, that we are processes. We are. It shouldn't be an aversion to think that our bodies and our minds and our thoughts are changing all the time. I think where the shift gets difficult and where the Chod practice becomes helpful is our lived experience often assumes that what I'm feeling right now is the same that I will feel in a minute or in an hour or 2 days, that there's a concrete set of experiences that I am, rather than the sense of this process. Now, with the where we were talking about with the nectar, then, so let's say that window becomes narrower and narrower, and now maybe it's 100 noticings per minute, right? Maybe it's 100 per second, just this constant evolution of nervous sensations. And then with it comes the sense that, well, where did that process start? Did it start when I sat down on the cushion? Did it start when I woke up this morning? Did it start on New Year's? Did it start when I reached puberty? Did it start when I was born? Did it start when I was conceived? Did it start when my parents were born? Where did the flow start? Where does it end? So there's this sense of zeroing in on an increasingly narrow level of awareness, and a sense that that awareness extends out uh, limitless only by my perception. And that transforms into this sort of quantum, like, uh, fluid state that, uh, like when gas becomes liquid, or, when material changes state, this sort of quantum froth that is compressed into this, uh, not cryogenic, cryoplasmic, this sort of plasma. Plasma. It's like a mix of a laser and a plasma. That is the nectar of the Chod practice. That's what happens when we uh, sort of visualize our bodies being disaggregated and turned into this golden, beautiful nectar in the process of the visualization. And it all starts with this using the visualizations as an opportunity to sort of deepen our sense of the difference between the discursive self and our experiential body. I find that quite beautiful. I find the immediately my appreciation for the entire practice has deepened. And let me know if you are a Chod practitioner, if you agree or would comment on that, or if you're not a Chod practitioner but are a mindfulness practitioner, whether that makes sense. Any questions, any corrections, comments, criticism? I'd love to hear from you all. So thank you all. Keep your wits about you.